Buzz Sports Media episode. I lost count. Don't know what it is, but we're back. Hopefully, a tornado doesn't go through Dave's house anymore.
Yeah, like last time. That was
We're
fun.
back, and we got a special guest here with us. We got Mr. Jason Ryan here, former MLB pitcher for the Minnesota Twins, in the house. What's going on?
How you doing, bud?
Doing good. Tell us, tell the fans, and tell us a little bit, about yourself. Introduce yourself.
Well, I'm a father of one, married. He's 14, live in Rock Hill, South Carolina right now. Grew up in Bound Brook, New Jersey, and went to high school up there. And then I was drafted out of high school. And I had an older brother that was drafted and played, and he went to Rutgers. So I saw the long trek that he had with college. I'm like, I can't do that. Like, I got to go get my dream, man. So
there you go.
I signed the 9th round with the Chicago Cubs, and my career from 18 years old took off. My first year, I went to extended spring training in Kissimmee, Florida, got moved up to Huntington, West Virginia, and which was high A ball. And then I got moved up to Double A that same year and pitched with in Orlando, and ended up pitching against Michael Jordan that year when he was with
Oh shit.
the White Sox.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn. That's awesome.
And I was 18 years old, and I loved basketball. I actually wanted to go play basketball more than I did baseball. And I'm like staring at this guy in the outfield. I'm like, you have to be kidding me right now. You know, this is Michael. This is right in between his 3 championships, right? I mean, this guy is a legend. And then, was with the Cubs for, I guess, 5-6 years. And then got traded in the Ricky Aguilera, Rod Beck trade with Minnesota. It was me and Kyle Loesch and Rod Beck for Ricky Aguilera. And Cubbies were in a playoff run at the time. And which was ironic about that is Kevin Tapani was one of their starters that year. And I was really pitching well. And he broke his finger, and they called me into the office. Like, when you're going to get traded or called up, they don't put the lineup up until like the last minute. And I don't know if there's a time frame on these moves or what, I have no idea. I don't claim to know that, but it always seems that way. And so they didn't have a card up, and people are like, dude, you're going up, man. You're going to the big leagues. And I was like, this is it, man. This is sick. And they said, well, you've just been traded to the Minnesota Twins. I'm like, oh, okay. I was so naive in a lot of aspects. And I guess maybe that's where college kind of prepares you a little bit more because you're a little bit older. But, I was like, okay, who you get drafted by is who you stay with for the rest of your life, rest of your career. I had no idea about all these trades and the business side of the game. And so when I got traded, I remember Sandy Alomar Sr. was in there. He was our roving infielding instructor. And I just didn't really know how to take it. He said, dude, he goes, you should be pumped up right now. Somebody wants you more than we do. And I was like,
that's a way to put it.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I can chew on that. And then I got traded to Minnesota, went to their Double A, and then John Russell, that article I commented on that you guys posted, he was my manager in Double A, and I was so antsy because I was really, really doing well. I mean, I was striking 11 guys out a game, which I'm not really a strikeout pitcher, but I learned a slider that year, and it just cooked everybody. And then I got traded. And he was our manager in Double A for the Rock Cats, and I was still doing well even after the trade. I'm like, I'd go in his office and said, "Hey Russ, like, I mean, give me a bone here. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go to the big leagues. I'm ready to go to AAA. Like, do something with me. I've shown you that I can pitch in Double A, right? I mean, not that I'm conquered it, but for at least that year." And Double A is always considered the all-star league of any of all the minor leagues. That's where all your prospects and your good talent go, and then they go from there. But So, he's like, he was just had a way. He had a way of words, as you see in that video. He just has a calming sense. I mean, he caught one of Nolan Ryan's no-hitters. I mean, the guy, nothing's like too overwhelming. And he just makes you feel so good about the conversation. You leave the conversation really positive, put it that way.
Yeah.
And so he and I had multiple conversations. And then finally, he goes, "Hey, buddy, you're going to AAA." And I was like, man, this is awesome. Then I go to AAA, and then Phil Roof was the manager there. He's an old school dude. About 6'4", just forearms like anvils. I mean, he was just so old school. Great guy, don't get me wrong. And Rick Anderson was our pitching coach, and he was awesome. And so I do well in AAA with the Salt Lake Buzz, and I get called up. Was it September, August, I guess, late August. And spent the rest of the year up there. My first start was against the Boston Red Sox and Pedro Martinez.
Oh man,
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy.
that was the year he had a 1.7 ERA, I think.
Oh my God, it's not even fair.
Come on, dude.
And my father, weirdly, they were in Salt Lake when I got called up. And my mother was so pissed off. She's like, "We just got here," and it was like $2,000 or $3,000 to get another flight out of there right away to go see me. So unfortunately, they didn't get to see my debut live, but actually in person. And so I get called up, and so be it. The New York Yankees. We're playing the New York Yankees at home in Minnesota, and Roger Clemens is pitching that day. And I'm a Yankees fan, and I'm like, you have to be kidding me right now. So, I mean, you're supposed to be loyal to your team, right? But I'm like, man, I want to be over there. Like, what's going on?
Dude.
So as I was working out and running in the outfield, Roger was like throwing and getting loose, and he's a big dude, man. He is. I mean, whatever you want to say about his alleged use of whatever, he is a big man. And I'm not small. I mean, I was 6'3", 225, 230 as a pitcher, and I'm average height. He's every bit of 6'5", 240, 250. I mean, he was just as big, wide, this way as he was front to back. And he was super nice, man. He actually knew somehow, I don't know, maybe he's a stat rat, or maybe reads a lot of the papers, but I said, "Hey, Mr. Clemens," and I did that with all the guys that had Hall of Fame time in them, or they were the best of the best at the time. And I said, "Hey, Mr. Clemens, what's going on? My name's Jason Ryan." And he goes, "Yeah, man." He goes, "Didn't you just get called up?" And I looked at him like stunned. And I said, "Why would you care about that?" I mean, I did, but like, why would you care about that? And he goes, "Dude, somebody's got to keep the league going. I'll be gone, and you guys got to come in and make the league as good as you can make it." So it was just a really good experience. And then I got to see the Yankees play. He kicked our ass. And I mean, we had some rising talent. I mean, we had Torrey Hunter on that team. We had David Ortiz on that team, Jock Jones, Corey Koski, Brzezinski. We had Brad Radke and Eric Milton. I think was it that year or the year after? Eric Milton threw a no-hitter. So, I mean, it wasn't bad. It just, we weren't that deep, and everybody was super, super young. So, it's just amazing time. So I tell my father, get back to it. I tell my father I got called up and who I'm pitching against. And he goes, he puts his pant legs on one at a time, so he's like, "Good luck." And I'm like,
Thanks, man.
And I didn't do too bad. I think I had the base. In the beginning of the game, it was a little rough. Of course, I was nervous, but I think I had the bases loaded for the first 3 innings, and I ended up losing 4-3. And I pitched like 4 2/3 innings. It wasn't a bad outing, just a little wild, a little erratic, just getting behind, trying to nitpick. But yeah, man, it was just. What an experience. What a wild, wild ride, man. And then after that, I signed with Pittsburgh, and I was with Pittsburgh free agent. And I really didn't care for Tom Kelly. And I know a lot of people, he won 2 World Series, but he was not a very good person to the rookies, man. He was he was rough, really rough. And it is because, that if you play for a player, a player's coach, those guys will run through walls for you.
Yeah.
And this guy, he's just different. I mean, I'm hoping he's not a bad person, but that's how it was portrayed, in the clubhouse, on the field. And, I mean, playing for that guy was very, very hard. So I ended up, that's why I signed free agent with Pittsburgh. But little did I know, Ron Gardenhire and myself, man, we hit it off. He was awesome. He was the coach that everybody wants and everybody wants to play for. And he just understands the game. He played in the big leagues, so, and he just had that face to him. He's just kind of, you smile when you saw him come in. And he got the job the next year. And I was like, shit. Because, I mean, any MLB, NHL, NBA, NFL, it's not the best of the best. It's the best that cut the break, who stayed healthy, who kept their nose clean. There's a lot of things that you have to do. So it's not the best talent of the best. It's just, and that's in every high level, because if that was the case, I mean, my story in my career, there's 100 other guys just like that just dominated and nobody seemed to care. And, so I trekked through their organization, Pittsburgh. Then I got traded to the Dodgers, and then I got hurt, and I took a line drive off my elbow and broke my elbow. And Butch Husky actually hit that ball. We were in Colorado Springs, and I threw a changeup, and it's like one of those where you let it go, and you're like, shit. Everything's like in slow motion. And I knew you just have that sense, that sixth sense that something's going to be coming back at you.
Mm-hmm.
And it did. And I braced and it hit me right in the elbow and, knocked me out of the game on that one. But then I rehabbed, I got a surgery, rehabbed, and went to go play for the Long Island Ducks Independent League. And did pretty good.
My brother played for.
Oh, yeah? It was good.
Yeah, he played a little bit there.
It was, it bridged the gap, because I really didn't know where my career was going at that moment. I wasn't that old. I was 26 years old at the time. So I'm like, I still got a lot left in the tank. And so I played there, and then I got picked up by the Cardinals. And I dominated. It was the best year of my career. I was in the PCL, which, if you guys know anything about the Pacific Coast League, the ball flies like ridiculous out there. They say between that league and the International League, you could probably take a full run off your ERA compared to the two. And so I ended up I made the All-Star team, had a 2.7 ERA, led the league in innings and ERA. I was the ERA leader in the innings. I had 190 innings. And I never got called up. And they needed guys because Woody Wilson was laboring at the time, and their bullpen had been used. I mean, they needed an extra fresh arm. And ironically, after the first month of the season, I was like 4 or 5-0, or I was 3-0, and I had like a 1 ERA through my first 5 starts. And they, a couple of guys that I know that were playing in the big leagues for St. Louis said, "Hey man," we talked, and he goes, "Hey man," I said, "What's up?" He goes, when you coming up?" And I go, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "Well, your jersey's in your locker." And I go, "Man, that's news to me." And they said that a couple times because I think I won one game. I let up 6 runs, and then I let up 2 games of 5 runs, and then everything else was 3 runs, 2 runs. I had two or three complete game shutout, or no, not complete game. I had 3 complete games that year. I had 2 shutouts going into the 8th, and everything was 1 run basically or less to keep your ERA that low. But
Yeah.
never got called up, and it broke my heart. It truly did, because that's when I knew it's not the best of the best. Because in my belief that
Yep.
year, I could have got out Jesus Christ. I mean, I was so confident. I was healthy. I mean, it was in my last start of the year. I threw 8 innings, complete game, 1 run. My 32nd start of the year. I was getting stronger. And
Phillies could use you right about now. I'll tell you that.
yeah,
Shit,
I
man.
might have to use your arm now. I mean, I throw batting practice. So that's about it anymore. But anyhow, that's where I came up with that theory, and it's my theory. I've never heard anybody else talk about it, but and it just kind of broke my heart. I came back the next year with St. Louis, made AAA team again, and ironically, the first game of the year is between the Memphis Redbirds and the St. Louis Cardinals in Memphis at their stadium, which is awesome. And I started both years against them. Both years I pitched 5 innings and only let up 1 run in 10 innings.
That's nuts.
And I just this was Albert Pujols, Scott Rowland, actually Scott Rowland.
God,
One
what
run.
the fuck?
Damn, bro.
Fucking goddamn.
But I mean, it was, I rolled through them, and still that wasn't good enough.
You struck out Albert Pujols?
Yeah.
Damn, bro. Come
I love how he
on,
did it
And that's not good
nonchalantly.
enough.
He's like, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Albert, you're no Hall of Famer. I got you. You're done.
There's my strikeout list is pretty cool in my opinion,
Tell us.
because I
Your
didn't
top
have a whole,
5.
I didn't have a whole lot of games. I have almost 1 year collectively. So my top one, because it's what an accomplishment in my eyes, was and I'll tell you the adversity to this, and this is the real kicker. This is the stuff you guys don't know, because guys are behind the scenes, and maybe, I'm not saying you guys, but in general, fans in general, is we're all humans, man. We have all the same stupid ass problems that everybody else has, whether it be marriage or death in the family, or you get your chick pregnant or something. I mean, there's always something going on. It's just like real life.
Right. We
You know,
get it. We get it.
So that I got my ass handed to me against Boston a couple of series before that. I let up 10 runs in an inning and a third. And that was between 2 different outings. 1/3 of an inning, 5 runs. 1 inning, 5 runs.
Yeah.
And so needless to say, they were pissed off, and rightfully so. But we go to Cleveland, and after batting practice, the general manager calls me into the dugout. And I'm already down, right? My dad said never kick a man when he's down, right? So I'm already down, and I'm already pissed off, and this, that, and the other. And the general manager calls me into the dugout, and he goes, "Hey, I got to tell you, you're the 13th man on the 11-man staff."
Yeah, bro.
And I'm like, "Are you trying right now?" I mean, so I said, "What do you?" I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Because I got beat up for a couple games." He's like, "Well, it's that corporate bullshit answer that everybody gives,
Right.
because they got a little bit of power and they know they can control you. It was that type of answer." So the players, as they're coming off the field, they're like walking by us. Like, of course, we're like right where everybody walks by. We couldn't be down the other end of the dugout.
Yeah.
So a lot of the players are hearing this, and still be it. This is the baseball gods. I'm in the bullpen at this time. I'm not a starter anymore. LaTroy Hawkins is pitching, and he gets beat up, and he gets taken out of the middle of the 2nd inning. And they got me up, and they threw me in there, and I threw 4 1/3 complete innings, shutout ball, 1 hit. And my strikeout was Manny Ramirez and Jim Thome back to back looking.
Oh my God.
You gotta be fucking me, dude.
And that was, to me, I mean,
man.
Manny, everybody knows
No
Manny,
kidding.
everybody knows Thome. I mean, and this is when they were Cleveland, they were coming into their massive stardom and already putting up the numbers. So, yeah, that one was probably number 1 just because it was back to back. Number 2 was Sammy Sosa. So the funny story about
I was waiting for that one.
that is I was on the 40-man roster with the Cubs for 3 years. So I was in big league camp with all those guys, right? And Sammy was really good to me. He was an awesome dude, man. And so I get traded. I'm in AA. He doesn't know it, unless he read the paper, he doesn't know what's going on. So we face him. I'm starting. So his first at bat, I have a goatee now. I'm still very young looking. It's a half-ass goatee, man. It was trying to pencil it in.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I'm wearing glasses because the Cubs, the Minnesota Twins found out when I was squinting at a little TV. They said, you can't see that. So immediately they got me into see an eye doctor. And then when I came out of the locker room, they're played the Wild Thing song
Oh,
coming
yeah.
out of Minnesota. Yeah. So, and then, funny, haha, great. But I had glasses on, I had a goatee, so maybe he didn't really know who it was. And so I throw it home, I throw it up and in, knock his helmet off. He's staring at me like, who the F are you, man?
I would have been like, fucking no, I don't want no
And
problems.
as most pitchers, we're all crazy, man. All of us. You all have to have a screw loose. So I was like, all right, who the hell are you?
Oh, shit.
So, I mean, I was like starstruck kind of. And then as soon as he did that, I'm like, I want to break your neck. So I threw him another fastball outside. He looked at it, and I threw him a slider and struck him out. And I stared at him all the way back to the dugout.
Damn.
And so after the game, I'm kind of heated still. So after the game, I tell the clubhouse guy, go get Sammy and tell him to meet me in the hallway. And so he comes over, and I go, dude, you don't know who I am? And he goes, holy shit. He goes, Rhino, what's going on? He gives me this big hug and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, he's like, I didn't know, I'm like, obviously, you were staring at me. I said, we can go right here if you want. And, but
That's
anyhow,
good
it's
shit.
funny, funny little story about that. And then I struck Bernie Sanders out. That was pretty cool for me, struck Jeter out. He was bases loaded 3-2. And I said,
Peter.
here it is, man. Everything I got. And he swung right through it. And I'm like,
That is crazy.
but a funny story. Rafael Palmeiro. Everybody always asked me, who is the best hitter you faced? He was
That'll be the
best
show.
hitter.
He's great.
He was the best hitter I faced. And so the funny story is, I'm like in the fifth or sixth inning. No, I'm in the sixth inning. And we're winning 2-1. And got a guy at third base, 1 out. And Rafael Palmeiro's up. This is when they had like Juan Gonzalez, Pudge Rodriguez, Alex Rodriguez, Rafael Palmeiro. I mean, it was like,
ridiculous.
And they still only won 65 games that year because they couldn't pitch. But yeah, this is like every hitter you face was like, grip your shit because you don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
So that's the situation, and we're getting prepared to pitch to him, and Terry Steinbach is the catcher, and he comes out. And he goes, hey, man, how do you want to pitch this guy? And, I look at him, I'm like, let's go fastball away. He's looking to yank. He's looking to be aggressive early in the count. Let's go fastball away, 2-seamer. And we'll follow that up in the same slot as with a changeup, and then go hard up and in, and then stay in. Maybe he'll jam him because he's going to be leaning out over the plate with 2 strikes. So he's like, yeah, that's pretty good. All right, let's attack. So we go at it. Like 14 pitches later, he comes back out. Same guy I'm facing, Rafael Palmeiro. 14 pitches later, he comes back out and he goes, hey, man, what do you want to do here? And I go, you tell me. And he puts his arm on my shoulder, looks back at Rafael, looks back at me and says, good luck. And then turns around and goes back. And he ends up hitting a like 69-mile-an-hour curveball that was on his shoelaces to center field for a sac fly. So I threw everything I had, and it was a battle. He just won the battle, but that was I just those guys. The reason why those guys in the big leagues are just so good, not only are they competitors and they want to win and they want to do well, is that they're not out of their mind serious. They know how to stay locked in and still do something stupid or goofy to just break up the rhythm. And other guys are better than other guys at it. Your true leaders are the ones that are really, really good at it, right? But not everybody's always good at cracking a joke in a pressure situation that means something.
Yeah.
And he actually had me laughing. And I'm like, all right, let's go. Fuck it. I mean, what do I know? So, I mean, and he ended up winning the battle, but, and there was guys that blew me away, man. Like Pudge Rodriguez. I remember facing him, and I struck him out 2 times in a row. His first 2 at bats with I threw like a 68 to 72 mile an hour 12-6, and most guys would just take it because they're like, let me just spit on that. That doesn't. I can't do anything with that. Well, I get him like 2-2, and I throw him a couple more of those, and he fouls him off, and I come back with a fastball. He foul it off, come back with another fastball, foul. I'm like, God damn, man. This is where immature or naivety comes into play, and I'm thinking, I'm just gonna throw my hammer. He's gonna swing right over like he did the last 2 at bats.
Goodbye.
Well, I hung it. And he hit an oppo in the upper deck.
Oh my God. Goodbye.
And I go, son of a bitch. And then he looks at me, and he just looked at me for a little while like, that may be a good pitch, but you're not going to get me out 3 times with the same pitch. And so I learned my lesson.
He's looking at it. Do you have any beef with, I'm not saying like currently, I mean like back when you were pitching, did you have a guy that you're just like, fuck you every time you faced them?
The only beef I really ever had, I try to get along with everybody. I mean, you're with so many guys, and the testosterone is absolutely through the roof, right? So,
Right.
everybody.
No fun time before game day.
Everybody is
my rule in playoffs.
Everybody is competing, no matter if you're taking a leak, showering, playing cards, no matter what. Somebody is always next to you, asking you to, play something. So, ironically, I really never, had any issues with anybody because, guys would pimp balls. You know what? Good luck, man. Because I was a guy that pitched inside, so I would hit you on purpose. Yeah. And, I had to pitch inside because I didn't throw, 97, 98, 99 miles an hour. I had to pitch like Maddox and everybody else, dot up and go with it. So, but when we were in AAA, it was Mike Lincoln, myself, and AJ Przinsky living in a house, and we all went in on a rent a car. So one day, everything was fine. One day, I don't know what happened, but why this happened, but so you wake up about 11, 12, 1 o'clock, and then you could just get yourself together and go to the ballpark just like any other job. And AJ, it's like 12 maybe, and AJ goes, "All right, boys, I'm leaving. I'm heading out." And we'd always play jokes on each other all the time. So Mike is sitting on the couch, and I'm sitting in the recliner. We both have bowls of cereal, and the TV's on. And I take like 1 scoop, and I look up at Mike, and I go, "No way, he just like left for the day." And Mike, he's a California man. He's a California guy from Sacramento. You just got to know California dudes. They're just different, right? So he's like, no, he'll be back. Like no worries. Like I'm from Jersey, I'm like nervous. I got all this, bald energy. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know if he's coming to me. I'm starting to get angry. I just woke up like 15 minutes ago, and I'm like wide awake now. And he's like, no, man, he'll be back. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me listen to to the laid back guy because I know I was tightly wound. And so 12:30 comes, 1 o'clock comes. Now we usually leave by about 2 o'clock because it took about 45 minutes to get to the ballpark. 2 o'clock comes, 2:30 comes, and I'm freaking out because I'm not late. I'm just not that guy. And trying to call him, and he's not answering, and this, that, and the other guys are probably out on the field hitting BP or whatever. So we get a hold of the clubhouse guy and say, dude, we're gonna be late. AJ took off with our car, and so we had called a taxi. Well, long story short, we don't get there until like 7:30.
Damn.
We get in like the third inning.
Oh,
Game over.
And
Down
I
9-0.
am beyond pissed off. And as soon as we get to the park, I storm, I'm wearing jeans and a collared shirt right now. I storm through the clubhouse, down the hallway, into the dugout, and I want to absolutely fucking kill AJ. And I was, if there wasn't anybody there, I would have. And I just, every other word, was MF and, fuck you, and I'm going to kill you and get away from me. I want to fight him. And nothing ever ended up coming of it. I calmed down. I don't really ever remember him apologizing, to be honest with you. And now, granted, I just blew the lid off of everything. I got to live with the guy. And I just
Yeah.
kill him, right?
Hey, you know where he
So-
sleeps at that point.
Exactly. So, but I mean, I also knew if you do that, there's consequences with the organization.
Yeah.
But I really didn't care at that moment because I truly had just lost it. And
Right.
and AJ's kind of a dick. I mean, he is. He always has been. He's been the most unpopular or unliked player in the major leagues every year he played almost. I mean, and I don't know if that's just his social awkwardness or lack of understanding that you can hurt other people's feelings with the shit that you say.
right.
I don't know what it is, man. I don't know. I mean, granted, he's a good player. He's got plenty of years in the big leagues. I don't take anything away from that, but as a person, I don't know, man. He's an oddball, and that's probably the only guy that I really wanted to do some damage on. I mean, other guys, yeah, you get, heat of the battle. I mean, in the minor leagues, you'd have some brawls.
Hey,
But
AJ, if you're watching, you and Jason are gonna put the gloves on, and he's gonna beat the shit out of you for once and for all.
Hey, I know some
I mean-
MMA guys. They do a podcast here.
I'd probably end up pulling a hamstring and
Speaking of the devil,
my shoulder would fall off or something like that. But I mean, now that I'll be 50 years old coming in January. So, I
Wow.
mean, I as much as I think I can still do things, I know I can't because, I'm not 25 years old anymore. But
Right.
yeah, that was probably the only guy I really, really got.
Well, I got a question for you. You threw some names out there. Do you keep in contact with any of these guys anymore? Like, do you just you know what I mean? Is there anybody from that era that you still talk to?
Guys, no, I mean, there's guys that are some big time guys that, we'll just shoot the shit back and forth on the Facebook chat or Messenger or, some of the guys, I have their cell phone numbers, but, what's weird about baseball is really everybody goes their separate ways. And if you kind of live near that guy, that's when you're hanging out with them
Right.
and stuff. And, but I mean, I had a lot of good memories with a lot of big time guys. Torrey Hunter, Eddie Guardado, Brad Radke, David Ortiz, just a lot of guys that were fun, man. They were just
good people.
Let's-
Yeah.
they were just, you were in that niche, right? You're in that brotherhood. And it's a hard bond to break, because everybody knows how hard it is to get there. So everybody has that common understanding of, I may hate you, but I still respect you.
Right.
And as long as you're not doing anything dirty, I'm not trying to hit guys in the head to try to end their careers. But, so I mean, it just, guys that haven't made it to the big leagues that became on to be big league coaches. Like Bo Porter. I know he was a big leaguer and he's a big league coach, but he and I came from New Jersey, and he came from Iowa. He was a football player there, and he was drafted, I think, in '95, and we played on the same championship team in the minor leagues together. And that guy, he's an amazing person, absolutely amazing. And it's the reason why he's still in the game and he's still sought after as a coach. LaTroy Hawkins, that guy was, you want to talk about animated. He is who he is, and he does not apologize for it.
Take it or leave it.
But you have to appreciate guys like that. I mean, you may not like their point of view, or you may not like, what they say sometimes, but if a guy is good to me, he's good to me, man. I'm not going to judge him on what he's doing to other people, because you know what? He may not like you, and he likes me, so tough shit. I mean, so he was just really good to me. I mean, he is half crazy, but he had 21 years in the big leagues. I mean, he's a great guy. And other guys that have gone on to do podcasts and to sell real estate, and just there's just a lot of good people, with a lot of good hearts out there. But there's some assholes. There's one on every team. And maybe somebody said that I was one of those one time. I don't know, but I don't think so. But who knows?
Well, if you ever decide to go on to podcasting, you got a spot here, buddy. We got you.
I appreciate that.
We'll
Thank
try
you.
and make it one day.
Back with
just
Beef.
Got to be
Sorry,
fun,
sorry.
right? If it's not fun, don't do it.
Right.
Yeah, that's what we try and do. Have fun.
Yeah.
I know you're saying like that every team had their asshole. Was there a moment in your career where, I know I'm talking about Beef, I'm just hungry. But was there any time where like you purposely went after a guy because they either went after somebody on your team or they just talked too much shit and you're just like, you know what, screw off, dude, I'm coming after you right now?
I have, and that was there's over 120 years of professional baseball experience in my family, starting all the way back in the 20s and 30s. My uncle Ed Majeski, he caught for the New York A's and the Philadelphia A's and the White Sox, and back in the 20s and 30s against Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig. And I was 12, 13 years old, and he was still alive. So he'd tell me these stories, right? And I'm like just glued to him. And so I always kind of learned the old school way. My grandfather played, my father played, my brother played, I played. Now my two nephews, River and Ryder Ryan, they play. And, so it's just been in the family for so long. But I was a really old school, play when you're hurt. If you're injured, that's one thing. But, just suck it up and throw some dirt on it and go at people and play hard, right? And pitch inside. And if you hit somebody, whatever. It is what it is. But there are guys, and that's, to me, as a pitcher, how you gain respect solely out of your position players and your hitters is, one, you got to pay attention to the game. Don't be so self-absorbed that you're not watching what's going on the field, right, during the innings. And because you can pick up hints if a guy's laboring, if he's limping around or his shoulder's sore a little bit. I mean, that's how I'm going to pitch him, if I find a little angle. But if you're not paying attention, you won't know. You have to have somebody else tell you, and that defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
So, there's guys that I'm like, I'll nod at him. I'll look over and just give him a nod. And you see every time that ever happened, they always perk up. And they're like, oh yeah, man, it's on. And so, you'd hit a guy and, he knew what he was getting hit for.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to come out, I'll give it everything you got. I'll give you about 5 minutes worth. And if you can beat me on that, then, you're good. But speaking of brawls, one of the best brawls I was ever in.
There we go. It was leading to something.
Brian McNichol was pitching on the mound. He pitched in the big leagues as a lefty out of James Madison. And we're in West Tennessee, in Jackson, Tennessee. This was Double-A for the Cubs. This is their first year as that field for that hometown. right? Cubs are the first team to play on there. So he's pitching, and they're jawing and this, that, and the other, and he ends up hitting a guy, probably on purpose, but they're jawing back and forth. All of a sudden, everybody just leaves, and everybody's in this pile, and everybody's throwing bombs at everybody. And I get hit in the back of the head. With a fist, and it kind of knocks me forward, and it I guess wakes me up a little bit to where I'm looking around, and where I look is to the backstop behind home plate, and Emil Brown and Bo Porter are throwing bombs at each other. Absolute bombs. And if you know anything about Emil Brown, that kid will lift up cars. He is one of the strongest guys I've ever seen. And a 5-tool player. It's amazing his career didn't go longer, but and then Bo Porter, he came from Newark, New Jersey. He's off the streets, man. That kid's tough.
Happy. Yeah.
And he's not afraid to back down. He's not afraid of a fight. So, I mean, these guys, I look up and they are just throwing haymakers. And I'm like, but I go back to the pile because, I'm like, well, Bo can handle that. He can handle himself. And so I go back to the pile. It gets broken up shortly after that. But there was I had a bloody lip. 8 other guys had a bloody lip. 8 other guys or 10 other guys. One guy just got split wide open. I was like, damn, that sucks for you. And,
Just see you next week.
Right.
So, yeah, it was just, everybody got fine. It was what it was. But that was one of the better, to me, because I got some licks in and I also got hit. But just seeing those 2 guys behind home plate go at it was enough for me just to start that fight. I mean, and they were going at it had to be 10 minutes. And they were throwing each other around, throwing them off the back net. I mean, the fans are right there. It was like an MMA fight. I mean, they were so in it. So, and then we watched it after because we're all kind of half crazy, right? So we get the clubhouse guy to go get the video, and we watched it. And we were all cheering everybody on. Yeah, look at that. Some guys, the outskirts, like the guys that are tapping. You're like, oh yeah, and then they come in and they go, oh, I was right in the middle of that. I was smoking everybody. You're afraid to even come into the pile. So I mean, you get all sorts. It's so funny, but that was it's got to, the camaraderie is what I miss, right? It's the fellowship, it's the guys, it's the relationships, it's the different perspectives. I always appreciate different perspectives from different parts of the world. I mean, played in Venezuela, so I lived down there for 4 or 5 months, in their winter ball league, and that was just a whole nother, wild atmosphere. And Bobby Abreu was on that team that I played with. So that was fun playing with him. K-Rod was on that team, Francisco Rodriguez.
Damn.
It was amazing experience. And, so it's just, baseball is like Gulliver's Travels, man. You just go wherever the wind takes you. And if you're lucky and you stay healthy and you play long enough, you can make a living out of it. And unfortunately, I just, I didn't quite get used to the speed of the game as fast as I needed to, which I felt like I could have, because I had done well at every level. So it was just another level, right? And this is the best of the best. So it just didn't work out, man. And right now, my nephew, River, he's recovering from Tommy John surgery, and he had 4 starts last year with LA, and he ended up beating Paul Skeens, one of his few losses last year. And River, he sits at 97, 98.
God damn.
That's wild.
And he's about as athletic as they come, man. He was a 2-way player, and he'd do the Ozzie Smith backflip, going out to his position. And he just stupid talent. And he's still in the top 10 in their prospects, in their organization.
Yeah.
And, Doc has told him, man, hey, man, just get healthy, get back up. You'll be back up here. You got a spot, so he is one of, if they keep him and he's not trade bait, he is part of their future for sure. And knock on wood, staying healthy. But
yeah.
And then Ryder, he's with Pittsburgh. He's in there with their AAA. I think he's got like a 2.80 ERA right now out of the bullpen. He's been with he went up and down in the big leagues last year 7 times.
That's
which
crazy.
that's a whole nother just business part of it that I don't like. And you know, he was up there for one little cup of coffee with Seattle Mariners, and then he signed with Pittsburgh, and now he's in their AAA, and he's doing well. You know, so hopefully he gets a shot. I mean, they can use some help. The record, says otherwise, but
The worst
you
side
know,
of Pennsylvania, you know.
yeah, that's what I hear from the guys from either side of the river, right?
Yeah. So what would you say was your, I mean, this goes to all levels, AA, AAA, majors when you played overseas. What was your favorite ballpark to play in? Atmosphere, fans, city, nightlife, just the aesthetic of the stadium. What
Well,
was the best?
New York is second to none. That's if you're going to encompass everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
New York. I really liked playing in Cleveland.
Wow.
Cleveland's field was really, really nice. Their clubhouse, everything, their spread, everything you got. I mean, they really took care of you. Detroit is like a concrete ship. I mean, it's just ugly. It's ugly, man.
Just say, what is your worst? Is
Put
that
some
your
money
worst
into it.
one then?
That's,
Would you say that's your worst? Was Detroit?
Minnesota or Tampa Bay was probably the worst.
You're home.
Yeah.
Damn.
Shitty turf. I mean, you couldn't see shit during batting practice. You know, it was I don't know. It was like when you're playing inside every day and you can't see the sky. You know, you get depressed. I mean, I don't know, man. It was just it's just a weird situation. But Candlestick was pretty cool. You know, that was really cool. Baltimore's Park.
Yeah.
Boston was really cool, you know, because like some of these stadiums like that I didn't know, you know, and I consider myself a baseball historian. I always wanted to learn. Like in Boston, you know, there's a red seat up in right field bleachers stands, and it's way up there, dude. It's got to be 150 feet from the fence,
Damn.
maybe further. And it's just one lonely red seat, and it's where I want to say, Carl Yastrzemski hit the ball out there, and you're looking at it and you're going, how? Like it's so far. You're like, how does the ball go that far? And then, you know, playing in Toronto, Jose Canseco hit that ball in the triple deck down the left field line, and there's a star on a seat, you know, and you're looking up, like you're looking like way like an airplane up,
Damn.
and you're like, how? That's like 800 feet. I mean, it's so far. And you know, so I mean, just things you get to see when fans aren't there, you know, which I always appreciated in Pittsburgh's old stadium is the tunnels that fans would walk out on, you know, to go like a football stadium. There was always a star or something like Willie Stargell hit it here, or you know,
That's pretty
you know,
cool.
whoever, Andy Van Slyke or whoever, you know, hit a ball, or Barry Bonds. You know, you'd see all these stars all over the place, and some of them were way out there. And you're like, holy cow, man, that was the mush ball era, and they still were hitting balls that far. So, I mean, that's a unique perspective, you know, that you don't usually get to see. So every ballpark had their say. Boston, I would say, probably had the worst clubhouse. There was a massive steel I-beam that went right through my locker.
Oh fuck!
It's so
And
old, yeah.
Spend some
I
money,
was
man.
I was like, are you serious, man? I mean, you could say all these famous players played here, and legends and Hall of Famers, but I'm like, man, really? I mean,
Right.
like I'm like 4 feet from my locker getting dressed, and I'm like, this sucks, you know. So I mean, but then you know you go to other ballparks and you're like, wow, man, this is where the greats have played, you know, and you really kind of soak it all in. So I mean, it just unbelievable experience. I mean, there's so many levels to how they treat you in the big leagues, and obviously the relationships you make the road there is you build some strong relationships, because there's guys that you know you'll room with for 4, 5, 6 years, and then you'll get traded like I did, and then you know you'll keep touch, and you know you just never know where the path's going to take you. That's why I just kind of just hope to pray and play as long as you can, and hopefully you're healthy. And that's about it. I mean, I wasn't really hurt. I pitched over 1,200 innings, and other than what I need now because of just wear and tear, but my elbow, I didn't have anything to do with that. It was kind of out of my control, and
Yeah.
I kind of had a rubber arm. I mean, I can get loose in 5 pitches. I can pitch you 9 innings. I can come back on 3 days rest. I loved coming back on 3 days rest. I actually seemed somehow to get better.
Yep.
So I don't know. It's just today's game and that game. It's just different. It's just different. I know it's the game of baseball, but it's just, I don't want to take anything away from these guys because they're just superior athletes, but they're not built the same. I'm sorry, but they're not. Some are. There are some.
Yeah.
But for the majority, they're just not built the same.
Do you think though a lot of that is just what they're teaching us is, I mean, I'm 28, I was through it and pitched for a lot of, you do your winter ball, summer ball, throwing all the time, things like that. I mean, is it more so just how this age is starting to turn that way in general, or is it just kids and like the NBA and all these other guys with load management and all that other kind of stuff that they almost just are treating them that way than just saying, go out and do what you can do? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, you have to understand that guys are getting paid so much money now
Yeah.
that it's hard to say go balls to the wall and just until you blow out,
Break
just
down.
go.
Yeah.
And so they want to protect their investment. I mean, these guys are making 100, 200, 300, 500, 700 million dollars.
It's crazy.
And so you want to try to protect your investment somehow. And I think really what went the game in general, it got too technical. I'm not saying you can't use analytics and you can't use there is a place for that in the game. But you have guys that have never even touched a baseball field in a major league dugout telling a major league hitter what to do.
Oh man. Yeah,
So I have a problem with that. I mean, I'm not going to come to your job that I've never done and tell you how to do your job.
Yep.
It doesn't even matter what TPS spreadsheets I got, here it is. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, I still don't know how to think or do what you know how to do. So I had a good buddy of mine, Michael McCucci. He was never got to the big leagues as a player, but did as a coach. And he followed Scott Service up, the manager of Seattle, and he knew it was time to get out of the game when he had I don't know if he was assistant coach or a bench coach or whatever, but he was a guy that never played or maybe played in high school. And he had a laptop or an iPad. And, Mike was a big student of the game, came from that type of era. And the guy on the bench goes, yeah, that he didn't hit that well. And Mike turns around and goes, yeah, no shit. He popped it up to the pitcher. And he's like, you don't need a computer to tell me that was a shitty swing. And, so, I mean, I think there was too much of that. I honestly, truly believe the Billy Beane thing is what got it all going. And, Moneyball. And he's not wrong per se, but he's not right either. And one thing that a lot of people forget is the old school guys love the human error of the game.
Yeah.
They like that, not only can the player make mistakes, but the umpire can make mistakes also.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it was like 3 teams in one, and, sometimes the breaks go with you, sometimes they don't. That's why, you kind of got that etiquette of you wanted to be nice to the umpire because maybe by the grace of God, it would work out for you. He'd give you a call, right?
Yep.
Now, I don't know if it's how the kids were raised or that no coach really checked, guys, but 17-year-old kids go at coaches now.
Yeah.
Arrogant assholes.
And going to tell them off and, fuck this, fuck that, go fuck yourself. And I've seen it. Like, I just got the head varsity coaching job at my son's high school. He's a rising freshman, but and I witnessed 2 kids last year tell the head coach, fuck off. And I'm going, Like I'm crawling out of my skin right
Grab the belt.
About to
Grabbing the
kick him off the
belt. I mean,
team.
Yeah.
I am one in disbelief because I'm just like, how do you act that way to an adult?
Yeah.
Secondly, they were sitting on the bench because they were in trouble for goofing off. And then I was like, and then they said that, and I'm like, you have to be kidding me. Like, I would have just said, man, you're done. Hand in
Yeah.
your uniform, your season's over.
Yep.
Because that's how I mean, that it just, there's no room in the game for that. So, you know, but even in the big leagues, guys are blowing other guys up in the media. You know, there's not a lot of etiquette anymore. There's,
Uh,
you know, you can't take the guy out at second base. I used to love that because that extended the play. I
Yep.
mean, taking guys out at home, Buster Posey rule. I mean, that's gay. I'm sorry, but
You're not wrong, dude. You're not wrong, dude.
I love it.
in all respect to the LGBTQ, you know, alphabet community, I don't mean it in a derogatory way, but he's just, you know, it's just stupid. And you know, I always love that part of the game. I used to see my catchers, the real true grit catchers, the ones that love to stand on the tracks. They love it. You know, they see it coming. They're standing there. The home plate is theirs. They got ownership. They see the ball, the play manifesting, and the ball's coming in, and they're going, man, this is going to be close. And crush, hang on to the ball. And if you hang on to it, you're a hero.
Yeah.
If you lose it, you're a goat. And if you don't get it in time, you're just bad luck.
You're a
So,
dick. No.
I mean, yeah,
No.
I mean, you're getting flipped over, and yeah, that's why catchers are always taught to keep their masks on when there's a collision, because other runners have taken just boatloads of stitches in the face, in the arms and stuff because from the mask. So, you know, but I don't know. You know, I mean, parents are to blame. I think parents are to blame.
Right.
I think parents, every generation always wants to give the next generation what they didn't have. And
Yep.
I think it wasn't, you know, my mom's a baby boomer, my dad, you know, so I was raised first generation post World War II, right? So it was rough. You know, you still got spankings, it was, you know, what are you crying for? I got plenty of tears. You know, I was in the war. You know, I
I
mean,
still get spankings.
you know, I mean, it was there wasn't this, you know, there wasn't this timeout. You know, I mean, you got the belt, you knew you got the belt, and you knew you deserved it, right? I mean, and you moved on.
You live and you learn.
And you know, I there was adversity. You know, I think technology kind of got the best of us a little bit. You know, I mean, it's just different. I'm not going to say it's wrong. It's just different.
Right.
You know, I mean, and I'm not saying guys, especially in the big leagues or in any big time program, they don't want to beat you. But guys are friends and they're talking to each other before the game. I wanted to kill you before the game.
Yeah.
I didn't want anything to do with you before the game. Well, we can go out and party
Yep.
afterwards
Yeah.
because that's not at the office. But
Yeah.
I mean, before the game, you know, go away. You know, and it's not like that anymore. And you know, guys that I think that's, if you don't have an axe to grind, you know, it's like, you know, I'm sure we could all experience playing whip the ball in the backyard or playing basketball or something with your buddies,
Yep.
and you just want to beat them every time, right? It's just like
Right.
every time you go
Yep.
out there, you just want to win and win and win. And then you guys would get pissed off and you play 55 games that day, you know, and then go in to go eat dinner, you know, but it was, I don't know if they have that I want to cut your throat at all costs. You know, I don't know if they still have that. You know, I mean, just from watching the high school kids, some have it. I'm not saying, you know, I know I'm blanket stating what I'm saying, but you know, some kids have that grit, and other kids are more about the flair of what they get. You know, the bling.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I was so far not into that. And I don't know, man. It was just, again, it's just the salt of the earth. I like, that's why I like my favorite movie is The Natural. I know it's far fetched, but I like the time period. I like that, there is the farm guy. I always equated that to Mickey Mantle, that movie, just because they kind of look similar. And I know Mickey was a switch hitter, but Mickey was a farm boy, and he liked to party, and he was a womanizer, and that's how I always equated that movie. But those guys, man, I mean, they got so pissed off they'd throw their glove on the ground, because the guy didn't make a play. I mean, that's how much they wanted to
Yep.
win because they knew that was a mistake. So, but I don't know. I mean, I get you got to protect your investment, but if you don't use your body and you don't throw and you don't do the things necessary to keep you strong, you're going to break down. And, they always used to say, if you don't throw
Yeah.
your fastball, you'll lose it. And that's accurate. So, I mean, now guys, the spin rate thing, I think that's a really cool philosophy. And I think it's helped a lot of guys to wrist position to get behind the ball more and get more revolutions on the ball or get on top of the ball more. But we had to pitch, man. It wasn't all about how strong. It was your endurance. When I stepped out on the mound,
Yeah.
I expected to finish the game. That was my expectation. I had 3 rules. Yep. Don't fuck your bullpen, and that means go at least 5 innings.
Yeah.
Stay out there longer than the opposing pitcher, and third, win the game. And I know some guys are like, well, win the game first, right? No. If I did the first 2, usually the third came. So that was my in-game philosophy. And guys, now, you pitch 5 or 6 innings and you're a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
Right.
You bat 220 now, you're a multimillionaire. Strike out 200 times. I mean, you couldn't bat less than 280, and you had to be a really, really good fielder in my day. And I know everybody can keep saying that, right? It's all the same. But in my day, and you wouldn't get called up to the bit. You wouldn't get called up if you hit 20 home runs and you batted 220.
That's wild.
In the minor leagues, you wouldn't even get sniffed at. I mean, you either better run like a 6-1-60 along with that 220 and 20 home runs, and be a borderline Gold Glover. Then you might get called up.
Yeah.
But I mean, you just didn't get called up, man, for mediocre play. And guys can say whatever they want to say about guys throw harder now and it's harder to hit. And I go, okay, well, how did Jamie Moyer do it? The guy couldn't even break 80.
80 miles an hour. Yeah, 79 mile an hour fastball.
Right.
He threw painted corners. That's all he did.
Average high school speed. And how did he get it done? He pitched in the big leagues for 20 years. And then you got your masters like Maddox. I mean, those are the elite guys. Then you got your Clemens. Then you got your Pedro Martinez. That guy was. You want to talk about trying to emulate yourself after somebody? That's who I always tried to pitch like, think like, have that same mentality. Because he didn't care. He wanted to beat you, and he was going to beat you. And I just didn't throw 97, 98 miles an hour with a nasty hook and an unbelievable changeup. So, but it's just I think it's all relative. I mean, you said you're 28. I'm 49. I mean, your upbringing, my upbringing were just different upbringings, man. It's just different times, and you're a product of your time, so I don't ever want to slight or take away anything. Do I think guys are a little softer now? In my selfish opinion, yeah. But I think they've been so conditioned to if I have a little bit of something hurt, I have to sit out.
Yeah.
I always have to feel my best every time I go out there, which that's not true. I mean, that's where I say the difference between being injured and being hurt are 2 different things. And if I'm hurt, I'm going out there. If I'm injured, that means I'm on the shelf.
Right.
And, I think everybody just kind of takes the same mentality of, my shoulder doesn't feel the best today. So, you know what? I'm going to skip this start. There was no skipping. I was at the field if I was throwing up. and I had the flu. I was at the field,
Hungover.
and well, and there's some great stories that I can tell you off camera about that.
That'll be for next
well,
week.
But I mean, it just there's some really tough guys still, no doubt. There's some pansies,
Yeah.
no doubt. And then you got your middle of the road, that that are good, that can play. I mean, for example, look at LeBron. The guy is a mountain, and he's like, oh, it hurts here and it hurts here. I'm like, dude, you are a wuss.
Yeah, he's no MJ. He's no.
Come
yeah, he's
on.
no
Watch
MJ.
it. Watch it. Watch
No
it.
MJ.
Well, I mean,
he's a
but
load man.
I
He
don't-
started load management. Let's be real.
I don't think anybody can deny that he is soft on the court.
No.
I don't think anybody can deny that. With
No.
all of his antics and, oh, my head, I mean, guys don't even hit you and you're like
Right.
rolling around the ground. I'm going, I know that's an act. I know it's part of trying to get the foul. I get all that, I mean, but take a little pride, man. I always took pride in like, yeah, you might have just crushed me, but I'm up and I'm like, let's go, I mean,
Right.
I have a little self-worth, to you. And, I was a Dominique Wilkins fan and a Larry Bird fan. I loved MJ. I think he's the best basketball player to ever walk the face of the earth. LeBron James has had the best career that's walked the face of the earth in basketball. He's not the best basketball player. Michael Jordan's the best basketball player.
I think Jackie Moon could beat LeBron.
Yeah.
Playing Tropics,
but-
baby.
Jackie Moon. But, I mean, again, it's just different. I never want to, I always respect every guy that, girl that plays at the highest level. I mean, they're the best of the best. What do you want to just create your own league and say they're not the best of the best? I mean, they are.
Besides Angel Reese.
Yeah, man. She needs to stop talking, man.
Yes.
The fireplace
needs-
on my wall over there, she actually laid those bricks. She is a professional bricklayer.
She
This
needs
guy.
to stop the jabbering. I mean, she's a pretty girl, and she's tall in statures and she's larger than life. And, have a little bit of etiquette. Have a little self-respect.
Right.
Stop always,
Good luck.
having to say some BS. Your game is a Dennis Rodman game. You're good.
You should
You're
read our
good at
comments
getting
on
rebounds.
our pages about Angel Reese.
Yeah, it's all
funny.
it's crazy.
It's funny. It's pretty
Well,
funny.
I follow the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese thing. I have been following it since she was drafted, and I don't mind the jawing, but if you're not going to back it up, stop talking, man.
Right.
Stop it. Just stop.
Yeah.
I mean, you're embarrassing yourself now. I don't even care what you have to say anymore. And the pay stuff that she talks about, I'm like, did you not go to school at all?
Right.
Literally.
I mean,
Not
did
gonna
you? I mean,
statistics.
you have a losing business. You have a losing business, not business model, but the business itself loses every year. And you're asking for equal pay to a business that is a $6 billion a year
Which-
business.
is funding their business.
Correct. So I don't know. I don't. I don't know, man. They need to do a little soul searching, the WNBA.
Right.
And they need to be a little bit more humble.
Yeah.
And they've heard all these comments. I mean, hell, Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, if you're not going to listen to those guys, my opinion means absolutely nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
And those guys did it and they
Yeah.
played it, and they're telling you to
least.
shut the fuck up. I mean, they're
Yeah.
saying, dude, stop talking,
Right.
and nobody's listening. And it's hurting them more than helping them. There's nothing more than what I would love to
Yeah.
see is a female at the highest level compete against a male. I would love to see that day. I don't think it's ever going to happen, but
Right.
I would love to see it. I'd love to see a female in the MLB,
Yep.
whether that be a pitcher, hitter, whatever. But any female that's ever given
Monet
a go
Davis.
in pro ball they're terrible, man. I mean, it's unfair. It's an unfair game. It's
Yeah.
not that they're terrible. It's just, you can't compete, man. Stop. Just, go play with
Yeah.
girls and they're awesome, and they're really, really good at what they do, and they'll give you all you got, and you probably won't be the best at them. So just prospectively, just, stick to your prospective sport and your gender, and just move on.
Until I
and
see Angel Reese do a 360 windmill dunk.
Yeah,
Oh,
shut
come
up,
on.
right? I
Come
mean,
on.
just stop talking. And I mean, and that shell of swoops thing that was going on, I'm like, how can you be that jealous of somebody
Yeah.
of that, of not giving Caitlin Clark her due? Right? I mean,
Yeah.
dude, she is the Steph Curry of the WNBA, no doubt. I think we could all agree upon that. And
That's all you can say.
Well,
she
Yep.
already, she's going to break every record they have.
speaking of the
I think so.
NBA, tip-off's getting ready to start, boys. I gotta go catch that
Yes,
game.
it is.
So
Yes, it is.
let's do.
Oh, yeah.
I just want Jason. Well, I got you here. Okay, who's winning the NBA championship this year?
You shouldn't have to think.
Okay, think
Yeah,
about it,
thank
Nate. Who you
Shouldn't have to
picking?
think. Oh, it's
since
obvious,
since
dude.
My Celtics are out of it now. I'd say Indiana.
Yep. I
Yeah,
got
maybe you should
Indiana.
Think about it a little more.
Nasty
I got
Nate.
I got OKC and
Yeah,
it's
get
not
out of
even
here,
close.
Dan. Who do you have?
Oklahoma City.
No. Being in
I
Indiana,
can like
sitting here in Indiana, I gotta go Pacers. I got to.
OKC. I think in five,
five.
and they
In
probably
five.
win like 3 of the games by 20 plus.
Yeah,
That's
probably.
what I think.
Probably.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's
I
hard
mean,
to say. Yeah.
SGA is going to have 400 free throw attempts in the first 2 games.
Oh, 100%.
He's probably gonna average 40 a game. Unfortunately.
Right. Well,
Then you put a little money on it. Then, if you want
I
to.
will,
Right.
and I'll send it to you on Facebook. You'll see it. I'll put 1,000 on it on the series right now.
3 games are beating them by 20.
Yep.
Put some money on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll put that.
Yeah, we'll be waiting for that. We'll be waiting for that, Dan. Well, Jason,
shit.
we appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much.
Hey, that offer for that podcast is stands.
Stands.
Seriously. You ever want to get your feet wet in it? You got a place here, buddy. I appreciate your time.
Appreciate that. Absolutely, you guys have been awesome, man. I appreciate having me, and good luck. Have fun, and I'm anything you need, guys. If I can do, just ask.
Feel free to,
No doubt.
if you ever want to come back on, just let us know. We won't bug you, but you're more
We
than
got
welcome.
it.
I
Again,
appreciate it.
Nate, do you want to sign us out here? I think his
He's
mic's
gone.
not working. All right.
He's gone.
Well, hey, till
He
next
died.
time, see you, everybody.
See you later.